Hello and welcome to Sheffield. I'm here on the I'm here on the guidance of Hidden Mothers. Actually, they told me about this great new band called New Ghost, and I've come here to Sheffield with some amazing loaded fries there to meet Chris. Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Cool, excellent. Well, your new album, Dagger In Every Tide. Yeah, fantastic record. Really enjoying. It was Liam from Hidden Mothers who told me all about it, and it seems that sparked a lot of also other recommendation, but from other people in the scene all recommended it all at once, and it seems to have caused quite a buzz.
It's very kind of them all. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, I saw that as well, because it's not. I know there are heavy elements to the record, but it's not.
It's not a heavy record.
I don't think it's a bit. Yeah, no. Well, I mean, lyrically, yeah, but I know what you mean. Like sonically, it's has its heavy moments. We were inspired by bands like Hum, like Deftones, that kind of thing. But yeah, I think. But then, I mean, just because someone's in a band that makes heavy music doesn't mean they don't listen to that kind. And I think it's hit a nerve with a bunch of people, and I did see that as well. And yeah, Liam, he seems to be a bit of a filter, doesn't he, on social media?
Absolutely,
So Liam, he does seem like a bit of a filter.
Yeah,
he curates
he's a tastemaker.
Yeah, a bit of a tastemaker. But we have I suppose we have a bit of a history with Hidden Mothers to a degree. Ari, who is their guitarist, he was our guitarist briefly.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ari's a friend of mine, yeah.
He's a wonderful chap.
He's
brilliant guy. And yeah, during the kind of genesis of New Ghost, he was instrumental really in helping us put the kind of unit together initially in those early stages. So yeah, there is a bit of overlap. I don't know the other guys in Hidden Mothers. They're all lovely, I'm sure, but I've not had a chance to kind of meet them individually. But yeah, I mean, it's brilliant. Awesome things.
It really spoke to me because I'm just coming off the back of, I was at Art Tangent this year, I saw Mogwai headlining, and there are parts of your music that do remind me kind of Mogwai-ish. Yeah. I mean, it's a melting pot of stuff. There's something in there from like even people who like, like post-rock bands like Delta Sleep will find a bit in there, and there's...
I mean, we all love Mogwai, yeah. I mean, I write the music, I guess, but then the rest of the band they're all strong musical personalities, and so, Gareth recorded bass for a lot of the album. Gareth has played in various bands in the past. He was in the original 65 Days.
Oh, wow.
And he was in Flatlands.
Wow.
He was in Early Cartographers, which are like a Sheffield kind of indie project. But he's just like an incredible bass player. And then, I mean, I've been so lucky because some of the musicians that I know are just incredible. There's Taz, who's the drummer. He drums in the band. He was in Awooga, who were like a doom band from Sheffield. There's Joe. He was in Gilmore Trail, one of the bigger kind of post-rock bands from Sheffield. So yeah, we all love. There's a lot of overlap of music that we love. But certainly Mogwai, they're one of the bands that we all we all have an affinity for. I've loved them since. Go on, give me their album. So there's Young Team. What's the one after Young Team?
Young Team is Come On Die Young.
What's the one after Come On Die Young?
I've just read the book, so I should know these.
It's got like a black and red cover.
Rock Action.
Rock Action. So that was the one. That was the first album of theirs that I'd heard. One of my bandmates, like way back, I remember him putting it on, and I hadn't really listened to instrumental music before. And I just remember thinking, this is new. When you hear something, you're like, it's like the first time I listened to the first, My Bloody Valentine album. I was like, I bought it on a cassette. I listened to it on a cassette, a pair of headphones. And I was listening to it and I'm like, I think this is broken. I think and I was trying all these other cassettes and I was like, I'm pretty sure this is broken. But no, it was just the way it was being recorded.
Yeah.
And Mogwai was kind of similar in a way. I didn't realize that you could do that with guitars and... Incredible. And so, I mean, I think my favorite album of theirs is Happy Songs.
Yeah.
I just think that's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, they're quite something live as well.
Yeah.
I I encourage anyone. Anyway, this isn't a Mogwai appreciation interview, but
Kind
yes.
of a Mogwai.
I mean, the funny thing with the post-rock at the moment is, I noticed this year, it's becoming so upbeat that sometimes it owes a lot to dance music in the fact that it's because it's instrumental and they do the peaks and valleys thing quite a lot. It gets quite euphoric, especially if you see a band like Annecy and I Watch You From Afar.
Yeah.
As I Watch You From Afar.
But they had that kind of in the
They've
DNA.
always been a bit funky, haven't they?
But I mean, when the other chap left, and the other guy, I forgot the name of the main guy that kind of took over afterwards. But yeah, I mean, there was definitely that in their DNA at the start, but definitely beyond that, you could tell that was. But you're right. I mean, instrumental music, because instrumental music, you kind of have to find different. There's different kind of things that you have to lean on.
Yeah, you don't have verse, chorus.
No. Oh, well, you can do that, but obviously without the vocals, it sounds a bit strange sometimes. But post-rock seems to be having a bit of a resurgence, which is great.
It's having a massive resurgence.
Yeah.
I mean, when you see a festival like Arctangent going from a Curio to like a main contender.
Yeah. I mean, Mogwai have always been. They seem to be. I don't know. They're number one album. So.
Yeah, I think they did once. Yeah,
their last proper album.
I think so. Yeah.
It was good. It was a good album.
Yeah, they're not a cult concern really, but imagine they've always flirted with the mainstream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As much as he would like to.
Yeah. They're just a bit too unruly for the mainstream, I think.
I think. I mean, if you look at music that people kind of absorb by like osmosis, you look at like Trent Reznor and what he's done. And like the soundtracks and Mogwai they kind of plough a similar kind of furrow. And so, I think they're just one of those bands that you've probably heard so much of the music without realizing that you've heard so much of the music. And so, but in terms of like our band and the music that we write, I was very much into post-rock kind of when I started learning guitar and when I first started writing songs. So that was much more, and I was writing instrumental music as well. That's kind of fallen by the wayside, I guess. But that is always there. I think it's always within you when you're writing music, and so. But there's definitely touch points.
Yeah, because
throughout the album,
you're very most definitely not an instrumental act. In fact, you do the opposite. You've got multi-layered vocals.
Yes.
And beautiful they are too.
Thank you.
That's something I take away from your music is how many layers and how much detail there is in there. There's tracks and tracks going on at times. It seems.
Yeah, there's different schools of thought on it, I guess. I mean, because I read a lot about bands and how they make albums. I'm like a lot of musicians, they kind of voracious appetite for reading about other bands and how they record their albums.
Yeah,
and I was reading about The National and how they recorded a few of their early albums and how they would kind of like fight one another and they would like record the songs and then almost like take everything back off of it, strip it back to like its bare essentials, which is great. I'm not really of that school of. I quite like the maximalist.
Yeah.
Like our recording session is usually kind of layering and layering and layering, and then we do kind of strip away. But a lot of what we do is kind of layering, and trying to find those like happy accidents that you get like inferred melodies and things which you didn't write, but kind of happen just by dint of layering up things, because of all the musicians we've got in the band. I mean, we've got obviously Nick, who is like a multi-instrumentalist, so he plays saxophone and keys, synth, and everything basically, and we just kind of throw him at the tracks and just see what he can do. I mean, it's
very well mixed and balanced.
Thank you.
I have to say,
that is Tom Henthorne. At Make Noise Studios. They're having a bit of trouble at the moment. They're having to relocate, find new premises, which is really distressing for them. But Tom, I've known Tom for like 15 years or more, and we've recorded projects together over the years. He's incredibly talented, and he's really good at wrangling sounds into a kind of finished thing which sounds good.
Yeah,
it's not an easy.
No, it's
really
not.
Difficult.
I always tell people it's like a fish tank. Like you've got only so much gravel you can put in there, only so much water, a couple of fish.
Yeah.
If you think about that as bass, middle, and treble as well.
And I didn't understand that for the longest time. And Tom was, because I'm totally naive to recording really, or was for a long time. And Tom was like, we can't really make it any bigger because of X or
Yeah.
Y, and I was like, oh, okay.
You got this much.
You sure we can't make it just a little bit, a bit louder, a little bit? But yeah, Tom's a genius. Tom is a bona fide genius.
Yeah.
And he's worked, he's worked in studios his entire adult life, and he's just, really humble about it as well. Wouldn't in any way, shape or form concede that he is himself, but he is. I'm so proud of our album.
It's wonderful sounding record.
Yeah, he's done an absolutely incredible job with it. So yeah,
I have to. One of the things that struck me, and I don't know if this is intentional or not, but the artwork is beautiful.
thank you.
Did you do this?
No, there's a chap called Alex who goes under the creative pseudonym Woo Woo and the Wormling.
Right.
So you can find him everywhere online. He is another just incredibly talented
It's just
guy.
so stark, and it reminds me, and I don't know if this was intentional, but it reminds me of a comic that's called Saga.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Yes, and it reminds me of that style, just on the front cover.
Yeah, I mean, he's done, so Alex has done a bunch of our artworks over the last few years. He's done the artwork for the album. We've released a few one-off singles over the last couple of years. He's done the artwork for those as well. I don't know if Alex actually likes Brian Vaughan, isn't it? Brian K. Vaughan.
I think so. Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure if he must have some knowledge of. But that certainly wasn't part of the conversation when we were putting together ideas.
No, it just reminded me of it.
No, I agree. I think it does, and I love that comic. I absolutely love it. I think there's some Studio Ghibli type stuff in there as well. I think the kind of atmosphere that he creates. I mean, the whole thrust of the album was to have this other world. I mean, we can get into that in a bit. But it was to create this kind of other world that you kind of go into, and I think he's just taken that and run with it. We wanted something that was colourful and ethereal and beautiful, and I think he's kind of smashed it out of the park with that one.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't. It's so striking because usually when you see a post-rock record or something like that, it's usually a dusty old Polaroid on the front or something out of focus picture or something. This is just beautiful and lush and colourful and pops. And I just thought it was such a cool way to do it.
There is a bit of a cliche, I suppose, of bands of that ilk. A lot of the artwork kind of. I mean, we've been guilty of it in the past. Having a tree on the front cover.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had a tree on our EP, I think, years and years and years ago. But I think you have to try and avoid where possible any kind of cliche. And we kind of gave Alex free reign.
Yeah.
In a sense, we just kind of gave him a few bullet points and then off he went. I mean, he did the artwork for one of our EPs a couple of years ago. That was the start of our relationship. I just found him on Instagram.
Right.
Just an illustrator on Instagram.
Wow.
He didn't have loads and loads of followers. He's got a lot more now, but he does his own comic and he's
you can tell he comes from comics sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a lot of that. It's just with his color choices and
it's beautiful. It's
really
beautiful.
Gorgeous.
I love the artwork. We're really lucky because it's just
well, and it hits out the part for you with branding and your merch and your bits.
Yeah. I mean, I know one of us might be getting a tattoo with the artwork, and
fair play.
Obviously, we like T-shirts and things. It makes everything. And because he's done the artwork for the last couple of EPs, and so he's managed to create this through line, really. So each one tracks in terms of some of the stuff in the background, some of the things in the foreground, some of the animals that he's used and things.
Yeah.
So, and he has this whole. I mean, whatever ideas we have, he has this whole kind of backstory as well.
Brilliant.
Which, so
that's awesome. Awesome. So, is there a through line in the lyrics then?
Yes. So it's not explicit because I'm not a big fan of, those kind of albums, concept records. I love Coheed and Cambria, but I think those albums, if you start reading into what they're about and what the singer's intention is with them, it can get a lot quite quickly.
I find the people who like that like it a lot.
Oh yeah. Well,
but it turns off a lot of people. As well.
It does. Yeah, I mean, I listen to them, and I'm not a huge fan. I really like them. I like the bangers, but I don't subscribe to their you know, that the narrative that he's built, it's
Yeah.
it's a bit much. So
Yeah.
so there is one with the record, but it's not explicit. You don't need to know what the album is about to enjoy it. I don't think. At least I hope you don't have to. But there is a deeper thread which runs throughout it, which we can get into now.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay,
Go for it.
Wait for this chap to.
Yes.
Yeah. Fine, mate.
Sorry.
It's all right.
No, it's all right. It's what editing's for.
Cheers. Yeah, there's some flats up there. Wait.
The story.
Okay, yeah. So the album was written during quite a turbulent time. I was involved in a car accident.
Oh no!
So I was hit by a car. I was on my bicycle. This car just kind of came out of nowhere, slammed into me, and I think had he been going a few miles an hour faster, or had I been going a few miles an hour faster, it could have been quite a different scenario. I hit him head on. He kind of pulled out. Hit him head on. Hit the roof of his car, flattened his car, bounced off into someone's garden.
Right.
And really, during the recovery of that accident is when I had started writing the album.
Right. So you had a lot of time in your hands, obviously.
But I had some time on my hands, and it was tough. I'd hurt my shoulder, I'd hurt my wrist, I'd hurt my head, my ankle.
Yeah.
There was nothing like hugely serious, which was good. There's no like serious injuries, but and I mean. So I lost my little brother. My little brother died when I was younger, when I was about 18. And so every creative endeavor that I have had since then has always had him in mind. And I've always tried to write something which would make him proud, which would include him in some way. He was a much better musician than me, much cooler than I am. He liked better music than I did. So there's always that kind of. But with this album, I wanted to write about a character that did die.
Right.
And then went looking for like his brother in like not so much an afterlife, because I don't really subscribe to that.
Right.
But if someone died and they wanted to travel into some other kind of place,
Another world. Yeah.
I guess so. Yeah, another world could be the subconscious dying or something, or you know, and it's them traveling into this other space, looking for a loved one that had died, and all that would entail, you know. So that's really what the record is.
Wow.
That's the through line for the album.
Okay.
But as I say, you wouldn't need to know that
Yeah.
when you were listening to it.
Does it become useful having the two vocals then, so you can characterize things?
I mean, it does, but I never really went into it in that kind of granular detail. I didn't want to, because I write all the lyrics as well. And Ellie, who sings with me, she doesn't really ask, you know, what the songs are always about, unless she's like, I really would like to know what this particular song is about.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, we had a real kind of moment in the studio with one of the songs, but often she'll just ask for like a feeling as to what the song is about, so she can kind of get in the right headspace.
Yeah, right.
And then she'll go in, and I mean, she's amazing as well. She can knock takes out like one take, and it's just like, how have you done that?
Yeah, she sounds phenomenal.
Took me like, you know, recording vocals is a pain in the arse, and it took me years to be able to even listen to my own voice on a recording. And she just she went, first take, done. So we did talk about, obviously they know about kind of my little brother, and we did talk about the concept of the record. It was a bit more convoluted initially. It's filtered into something a bit more simplistic. But as I say, I don't think it's essential that you need to know that to enjoy the record. Probably would give it a deeper meaning if you wanted to delve into it in a bit more detail.
Yeah.
But it's certainly there. And it's, you know, it's just like, it's cathartic.
That's amazing, man.
So
that's really cool. That is really cool, because it's nice to know when like albums have that much thought behind them, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure a lot of albums have levels of thought.
Yeah. There are a lot that don't.
I know, I know. Yeah, possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
But then it's quite difficult, isn't it? Because, I mean, when you're writing things, some of it happens by chance.
Yeah.
Like, I find lyrics really difficult to write, and so lyrics sometimes they just kind of arrive, and you're like, I need to use this here, and so some of the songs are not explicitly about, you know, that one thing, but there's things that are around it. So there are other things happening. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff about like the society that we live in and everything that goes in with that, you know, and the kind of way that the world has been over the last few years. So there's things in there about that as well. I was speaking to Joe about this the other day, but I hate writing lyrics, but I also love writing lyrics because they're the most difficult of the whole process, I think. You know, like nothing comes easy, but I think with lyrics, and I really notice it in other bands as well. It's going to make me sound really catty now, but
no, go on.
I think when you're listening to lyrics and they're not good, they really pull it down for me. I think.
Yeah,
but they're so difficult to write, and it's just.
Yeah, I have a problem with obvious lyrics, like obvious rhymes and things like that. It's just like, you don't have to make things rhyme.
No. But I think, as I say, like lyrics are just so difficult to write and finding the right words. I mean, I'm not massively articulate and I don't have a huge vocabulary, ironic. But I think finding the right words for the right mood. Yeah. And like we were talking about this in a little interview we did together as a band, what we've put out, but we were talking about how the words, like the mouthfeel of the words, and how you perform the words, the rhythm of it, everything. It's like an alchemy. Everything has to come together, and I just think the lyrics, they take the longest. And I'm really proud of the lyrics, obviously. Yeah, but they are a pain in the arse to get right. It just takes so long to put together. But yeah, we and after the lyrics were all written, I sat down and kind of made sure that it all tracked through. So we had to go into the track listing and that kind of thing as well. But yeah, I mean, lyrics, nightmare.
Yeah, well, another thing that struck me about your record, and because I am the age I am, I came up through the early 90s, and there's so many bits on it that sound like you honestly could have come from New York in the early 90s. There's certain bits in it, like, because I'm a big Sonic Youth fan and stuff like that. So there's little bits of that, and it might be the two vocal thing or something like that. I mean, it's not quite as noisy as Sonic Youth, but maybe Sonic Youth's more tender times, you know.
Yeah. I love Sonic Youth. I don't know their stuff as well as I should do because we used to get that kind of review way back, and I was like, that's great because I know that Sonic Youth are brilliant. I just didn't know enough of the material to be able to be like, I mean, it's probably by accident. I mean, a lot of it we don't overthink. We don't overthink. You know, the music comes together. We get in there. We don't. The lyrics we overthink. The music comes relatively quickly, I guess.
Is it the sum of its parts? Like, so it's like you don't, because it's. I was covering this in an interview recently, actually, but I was saying that you could have two guitarists play the same riff. Yeah. On the same guitars, and it would come out sounding different because of the way they play. Yeah. So basically, your sonic footprint, if you like, you know, is all over it. So the same group of musicians, you know, couldn't make that sound.
That's the beauty of any band, and like the kind of alchemy thing, and which I love because like I'm not a great musician. I'm the weakest musician in the band, but I've always tried to impress the other musicians that I've been in a band with. I've noticed this time and time and again. It's like looking back, I'm like,
underdog things come up a couple of times.
It's not even so much the underdog, but it's just, I mean, I'm insecure. I think that much is evident. But trying to write music that impresses the other band, other band members. I mean, like Gareth. I've idolized Gareth for years. And I listened to the 65 Days of Static album. I was like, holy shit.
Oh yeah, they're incredible.
You know, and so
they've come up in interviews before, that band.
Yeah, and like Gareth's bass lines, not just for that band, everything he does is they're just total genius. Like he recorded, we've got a track called Your Reds, and we recorded that track piecemeal. So we all did it separately, pretty much. Me and the drummer together, more or less, but everyone else. Gareth was ill, and he had recorded his bass part at home, and I hadn't heard the bass part, and so we just played it clean without the track just to get a feel for it. We played it in the studio, and because the bass part is syncopated, and so without the track it just sounds awful. And I was like,
weird.
What is this? Why has he done this to us? But then Tom laid it over the track, and it's like, oh my god.
Yeah, he's hitting all the ghost notes.
So I've also written music to try and impress the other band members. I mean, Taz in the band is just this like metronomic, incredibly powerful drummer. You've got Joe, who is just this like powerhouse bass player, musically gifted, like knows exactly what key, what do you know what I mean? Like everything about the song. As soon as you start playing it, Ellie, who has just got this gift of like singing these like pristine, beautiful vocals immediately, and Nick, who is a multi-instrumentalist, and then you got me, who is this like blancmange flapping about on his guitar. But I've always written to try and impress the other band members, and so yeah, you're right. I think the way that I play guitar, the way that I've learned guitar over the years, I'd like to think it's like everything has led up to. You're a product of your influences and how you learn or don't learn how to play your instrument. Like me. So that's definitely a part of it. I mean, I'm still playing similar chord kind of shapes as I did when I was like, in my early 20s.
No, there's no wrong way to do it. But I noticed that like earlier stuff is credited to you though. You're the main songwriter though.
Yes.
So we have to make note of that. You are the main songwriter.
Yeah, but then it's without going too much into this, like the Billy Corgan thing, because I think Billy Corgan's a bit of a dick. But like Billy Corgan,
I still respect it.
Yeah. But he makes a point of like being the ringleader, and almost like trying to lord it over the other band members who were in the band, and I just think that is so shitty.
Yeah,
because that isn't, I think like our dynamic is I write the song.
You do the jump off point.
Yeah, I'll write the bones of the song, I'll write the demo, I'll record the demo, I'll do all the vocals, I'll get the demo to a point where I think it's reasonable. I will then send that to the band, because I know if I can get it to that level, I know that they can take it to this level.
That's great.
And that's the kind of thing, because they are just so gifted musically. And I know Tom as a producer as well. I mean, we've been really lucky because we worked with a chap called John as well. He did the early mini album that we did. And I know that I've just got to this point now where I know if I can get a song to a particular level, I know that once we're in the studio, I know what can happen. And that's the goal. So I write the songs, but
you kind of lay down the foundations and the groundwork, so you know the type of song it's going to be and all of that. But they've got the ability to finesse and to
and we don't. I mean, I've clearly got an ego, but it's not to the point,
We all have, man.
Yeah, but not to the point where you're completely blinded and you just, you know what I mean? Like when I'm in the studio, I'm in awe of the musicians, my bandmates. They're just incredible. And so when we're in there, I just, like I'll write the vocal, but then hearing Ellie sing it, it's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Or like we've got a song on the album called Cherry Violence. Which is this kind of hum-inspired, kind of like doomy. And so I wrote that at home. I got the demo, and I was like, I really like this. This is really unusual. This is not the kind of thing we typically would write. And then we got it in the studio, and as soon as Taz started playing it, I was like, here we go. I knew immediately. It was like, right, okay, this is going to sound big. And it's like it's one of our favourites on the record.
That whole album is, I like it because it's ambitious. It's progressive, but not in the prog way. It's just it's forward thinking.
I was thinking about that the other day as well, because we've sent our stuff to some prog like magazines and things, and we've got some really good reviews from them. I think the thing with more like proper prog, it's like with any genre. I think people do kind of get a bit. It's like with shoegaze. I mean, you probably noticed it. People are like, well, that's not proper shoegaze. The vocals are too loud, or so there's all that kind of thing.
Well, I think with shoegaze, it wasn't around for long enough for there to be any rules.
You're surprised with some of the,
because My Bloody Valentine do not sound like Ride.
No,
and Ride don't sound like one of the other ones.
Slow Dive.
Seafield.
Yeah. They've just released an EP.
Yes, they have, and it's great.
It's like Boards of Canada, like
glitchy. Well, they always sort of flirted with that. I mean, another Sheffield thing, Warp Records.
Exactly, I mean, there's a pedigree in Sheffield. And that's the other thing as well. We want to be a great Sheffield band, because we're all from Sheffield, I think. Yeah.
Sheffield has a rich musical heritage.
Yeah, it's a peculiar place.
It is.
Because it doesn't seem to have a scene, I guess. But then you would just have these amazing like bands which just pop up every now and again.
Yeah, I mean... we don't need to list them, but
just
first band I was ever into was from Sheffield, Def Leppard.
I used to play with my little WWF figures, and I would have, is it Hysteria?
It's Hysteria. I had it on cassette.
Their intro music for my little rest. Yeah, I love Def Leppard.
It was the first cassette I ever bought was Hysteria.
What's the one? Is that Adrenalize? Is that?
That was later on. That was early '90s album.
All right, okay.
I know far too much about Devlog.
No, yeah, they're a great band. I think.
Bring Me the Horizon out of this town.
Yeah, we have. I mean,
Warp Records. I mean, seminal label. But I think that
Yeah.
kind of. I think Sheffield. I don't know. People have tried to put their finger on why it does these radically different things, because when it has a musical success, it's radically different to like anything else in the charts.
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, Pulp, and then 65, and then like Arctic Monkeys, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just have these like put a pin in the trajectory of all these different.
And they all seem to be on like the zeitgeist, you know. It's like
yeah, you do. I mean, and we're aware of that. Obviously, we're aware of like the heritage of some of those bands. I love Warp Records. I mean, it's just
there's too much good stuff on it. Still to this day, I haven't actually got anything on Warp that I didn't like.
Yeah,
and you can't say that about most labels.
It's just one of those. I mean, everything they put out, there's such care that they put into like their artists and the records that they release. But as I say, that with our album, it was very much. I mean, we like jamming together. I'm not usually a fan of like stunt. Like genre mashups, like stunt genre mashups. I just think that it can. I'm not a fan of it particularly, but I think when it's done well, I really do like it, and that is part of the intention. It's not always intentional because it's we're a product of our influences, and I love Boards of Canada as much as I love Broadcast, as much as I love Deftones, as much as I love Mogwai. And so you get all these kind of things, which, I mean, Tom, our producer, he was talking about this because there is some overlap with music that I love that Tom loves, but a lot of it is really different. And so he's coming at it with like, what is this? This is way noisier than I'm used to. And I'm like, it's fine, go with it, push it. Like, push it even further, make it noisier. And so, it's like a melting pot. Of all those kinds of things and ideas, and I know that Tom can get it to a final stage that sounds great, and so it's just like throw in big guitars, but then have like these undercurrent like melodic shifts, and then have the vocals kind of come through. I mean, there's a song on there called Viscera, and like towards the halfway point, you have these kind of pianos coming in with the acoustic, like panned acoustic guitar. It's like it was gone from, because that song starts out with 2 drum kits. Yeah, Taz is playing 2 different beats on 2 drum kits with the kind of quite fast tremolo picked guitars, fuzzy guitars. It's like Queens of the Stone Age kind, I guess. And then like halfway through, it just shifts into this like acoustic. And it goes. It's like melancholy-esque, So I mean, it's part of the fun of being in a band. It's a difficult trick to pull off, and we haven't always pulled it off, and I haven't always pulled it off as a musician. But I think, especially with the caliber of musicians that we've got, I know that we can. If we aim for it, we can pretty much
shoot for the moon. Shoot for the moon, absolutely. So, are there plans to take this? Like, how do we do this live? This multi-layered music.
Yeah, I mean, we are gonna play live. We are gonna play the record live.
Yep.
I think we like approaching the live aspect of it slightly differently to the recorded aspect of it. They're 2 different animals. There's a visceral energy when you're playing live, whereas on record it's a whole other. I mean, I really am not interested in capturing the live sound of a band. I just don't think that's interesting, especially when you've got the tools of a studio to play with. I think it's a really good idea to try and, for me, I just think so I'm not interested. I'm interested in like world building. I want to create a world, and then live. It's different. Live,
a stripped back sort of version, is it?
Kind of. Not hugely on the record. I mean, we were conscious of this, like, as we were getting towards the end of the recording process, but there's like more guitars on there than probably should be. And it's like, how are we gonna do this live? I mean, we've just started learning a couple of the songs, because the other thing we've had, which we're really lucky to have had, but when the album came out, we were like, well, we think these are going to be the 3 songs that people are going to connect with. So these are the 3 songs that we are going to learn really well and play really well.
Yeah.
Album comes out, 3 other completely different songs. But no, like each of the songs has had a huge reaction, and it's brilliant. Like we're getting messages from people all over the world about it. But we put Over out. That was a single. We've just put Red and Blue out, which is the kind of more proggy track on the record, 8-minute long track. And then we had Wayfarer, which is a glitchy dream pop type single. But we've got a whole. There's Viscera on the album, which we haven't learnt properly yet. That's the one really that people have said, I really like that song.
Oh, right, well.
But you're shit out of luck because that's the hardest one on the album to play. We haven't really learned to play it
Better
properly
get
yet.
on it.
I know that our drummer really loves that song, and so he's been saying like, we have to do it.
Cool.
We have to learn it. And he's been saying it like the last 2 or 3 practices. And it's like, we can't learn it. It's too hard.
So, are the gigs booked?
We're playing October the 4th. We are playing in Nottingham for Button Pusher.
Right.
Awesome.
Oh yeah,
DIY,
great promoters. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Marty so sorry. And then we are playing Manchester at the end of November. And we think, I don't think I'm allowed to reveal who is playing that, but that's going to be like an all-dayer type thing.
Oh, right.
And I think there's going to be some really
cool bands.
I think so.
Well, watch out for that.
Yeah, so end of November. And then early December, we're playing in Leeds, but we're getting shows.
You're playing Leeds?
Playing Leeds, December 7th, I believe.
Is that Boom or
Boom? Yeah.
Boom? Right,
Boom.
cool.
So, yeah, I mean, it's early days. We're just, I think we've kind of been quite surprised by the reaction to the album. I don't think we were quite, because we're a tiny band.
Not anymore.
we've had a huge reaction. I mean, we've had, not that this is the kind of metric that you should use, but obviously the streams on Spotify have gone through the roof. We were like the number one grunge band on the Saturday the album came out for a period on Bandcamp. We were the number 1 math rock band for like 6 hours.
Yeah.
We were in the top 5 shoegaze, dream pop, and alternative. So yeah, I mean it's done brilliantly. And so the plan now is really just to get some shows. But if anyone is watching this and you want a fuzzy, grungy, shoegazy band from Sheffield to come play in your town/city, please get in touch with us because we do want to come and play. We're just reaching out to see if we can come and jump on a date with bands or just get something in the. We want to play the music. We want to play the album for people.
Yes.
People have had a big reaction to it, so we want to go out and we want to play the album for people. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for speaking to us today, and it's been great getting inside this wonderful album that everyone's talking about. So go check it out. And yes, I will be there in Leeds. Definitely down for it.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, mate. Cheers.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.